Today we have 23 cases of COVID-19 in the state of Victoria. All of those cases are within our hotel quarantine system, including 2 new cases overnight. So the one case we talked about yesterday, who is the interstate traveller from Perth, we have 1 additional case that's cropped up in hotel quarantine that again, both of them are being taken care of. I wish both those individuals well, along with the other 21 people, wish them the best for their recovery. Yesterday we completed 13,079 COVID-19 tests. All the results have come in. Of course, 2 of them have returned positive results. We also have a further 5,000 negative results that came in the early hours of this morning that will form part of today's results. I can also confirm that we're seeing some steady increases in testing activity today on the back of the positive case identified yesterday afternoon. All of our testing centres are open today. They're all, a number of them are doing some fairly brisk business. Please, I'd encourage, and I'll go through the details of course, but I'd encourage any Victorians that have any symptoms, no matter how slight, or any connection to WA and the WA outbreak, to please come forward and get tested today. We have a number of centres operating extended hours. Full details on waiting times are on our website. We've all been through this before now a number of times. We know what we need to do. It is critically important that we use the next few days to ensure that we run this outbreak to ground. With regard to the gentleman who returned on the 21st of April on QF778 and who returned a positive test in the early hours of yesterday morning, I can confirm that all of their 4 household contacts have been tested and have returned a negative result. That's a really encouraging and promising start. We have also contacted 265 people who were either on QF778 on Wednesday or who are a crew or ground crew associated with that aircraft. All of those individuals were contacted last night through a variety of means. We spoke to around 200 of them last night, and those conversations have continued this morning and will continue throughout today and the weekend. I'm also pleased to note that 49 of those individuals have already returned a negative test result. It is very important that anybody who is associated with QF778 on Wednesday completes their 14-day isolation period and goes and gets tested. Even when they return a negative result, we ask them to continue their 14-day isolation, and we'll continue to support them through that 14-day isolation period. We've also identified 5,442 Victorians who have returned from Perth and Peel since the 17th of April. We contacted them by SMS last night. Anybody who has been in Perth and Peel since the 17th of April, including those 5,400 people, are being asked to test and isolate until they return a negative result. It is so important that we now ensure that anybody who is today in Victoria who has been in Perth and Peel district since the 17th of April, they must get tested and they must isolate until they get a negative result. We'll be watching them very closely. We'll continue to message those people through the border permit system. We're also gaining access to all the other flight manifests of any other flights that have been arriving in Victoria from Perth since the 17th of April, and we'll be following up with people on that list as well. I can also confirm we're working very closely, of course, with our colleagues in West Australia. We wish them well with the ongoing management of the outbreak over there. Since 0200 Standard Eastern Time this morning, we have regarded Perth and Peel as a red zone. That does mean that anybody who is currently in Perth and Peel is asked to comply with the local directions of WA Health. That includes any Victorians who find themselves in Perth. We would ask you please for the next 3 days to comply with the local restrictions imposed by WA Health. I can also confirm that as of late last night, the Chief Health Officer designated Perth and Peel as an orange zone since the 17th of April. And that means that any Victorians who have been in Perth and Peel since the 17th of April, if they're here in Victoria today, please test and isolate until you receive a negative result. Let me also now return to the wider programme of how do we move beyond this. And look, I recognise, of course, that we as Victorians have been through a number of these kind of outbreaks now over the last few months. We saw a very similar situation with the Brisbane outbreak from hotel quarantine a few weeks ago. We, of course, experienced our own holiday inn outbreak here a couple of months ago. We have been through these cycles a number of times. I think by now all of us in Victoria know what we need to do. It is so important that all of us who have any kind of symptoms go out and test as soon as possible and isolate until we get a negative result. It's particularly important for those of us who have been in the Perth and Peel district. Of course, what's different now is that we also have the option now to go and get vaccinated. As of the 3rd of May, anybody aged over 50, which is a third of us, 2.2 million Victorians, can go and get vaccinated either at their GP or through our mass vaccination clinics. Since Wednesday of this week, we have 5 vaccination clinics open, including the Melbourne Conference Exhibition Centre. We have 5 vaccination centres open today, Saturday, and Jeff Shed will be open tomorrow, Sunday, to do vaccination. There is plenty of space at all these vaccination centres. Anybody aged over 50 can already book from the 3rd of May onwards. Anybody over 50 who has either comorbidities or works in the emergency services, in police, in the healthcare sector, can get vaccinated today. Anybody aged over 70 can get vaccinated today. It is so important that people now take up this opportunity to get vaccinated. It is the only way we get out of this pandemic. It is the only way we can move beyond these kind of outbreaks and the kind of restrictions that people in WA are now having to live with, and the kind of contact tracing program that we're now driving so hard here in Victoria. Finally, for good news for both Geelong and the Eagles, all the West Coast Eagles players and staff cleared negative test results. They will be playing at Cardinia Park shortly. We wish the Cats well, and we will continue to work with them to ensure that we run a safe event. With that, while the rain comes down, I'll be glad to take any questions. Sorry, say that again?
Any update on randomisation?
No, I've got no further update on that.
Second case in hotel quarantine. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so look, it's an overseas arrival. I'm not sure of the country of destination or country of origin. They arrived yesterday. I believe they arrived yesterday, and they returned a positive result. Again, they're well contained within the hotel quarantine system here in Victoria, and we wish them well with their recovery.